My name is Phil Petker, and I run a company called Petker Design. It is primarily involved in the creation, design, development, marketing, and sales of new product. It comes from an educational base of physical education using human movement knowledge in the design of products. There's been approximately 35 projects over the last 25 years that have made it from idea to market, many of which have actually made a significant amount of money for my clients. I'd like to be able to share some of those thoughts on how the importance of product development is and what the process is really like. I think that's one of the things I'd really enjoy. But I appreciate the time and thank you very much. Okay. So, when you're in entrepreneurship, the ceiling isn't over your head the way you are when you're working for someone else. If you work for someone else, you have a certain number of hours that you give to it, and you trade your hours for a certain value back. I don't have to do that. I can trade my time and my intellectual property, my capital, for something considerably more than that, and that's the advantage of entrepreneurship. Sometimes I've asked students, it's always great to ask the students this one. I said, let me ask you 3 questions. The first one is, on a scale of 1 to 10, how important is the amount of money that you will get out of your job when you're finished? Okay. How important is the self-satisfaction that you get from your work? 10. 10. It's huge, right? Especially for students. How important is the security that you have in your job, that you will still have a job tomorrow? 10? Okay. Well, here's where the rubber meets the pavement. How many of you think that with the job that you have now, you will have between 8 and 10 worth of money, 10 worth of self-fulfillment, and 10 in security? How many of you think you will have that? It's pretty tough to see, isn't it? It's tough for anyone to have a job working for someone else that does that. And my plug for entrepreneurship is that when you are passionate, smart, creative, all those things come from inside of you, and so automatically the fulfillment is there in absolute spades. Okay? If you've done your education and you are intelligent and focused and purposeful, you will be able to make money. No question about it. When the security belongs to you, you are your own boss. So for me, entrepreneurship gives me a 10, 10, 10, 10. So this one.
Hurt a lot.
That's a lot. Almost 10,000 volts. But it's low amperage, so it's not intended for anyone. It's about 1/10 of the power of a taser.
Oh, really?
Here, I'll show you the inside.
So there's like a circuitry.
Okay, let's imagine this. See this right here? See all those little buttons in the background like that?
Yeah.
That comes from the inside of the mold that pushes that part out. So if you can imagine, this is the male part. 2 halves of the mold close. One part of it ends here, and then this shape is on that side of the steel. Well, I've done it both ways, and I've made some money through both. To get paid a lot of money and not have to do the work is obviously preferred, right? It's pretty straightforward. But the fact is you need to create enough value in the idea in order to be able to sell or license the product to someone else. The more value or perceived value you create in a product, the more likely you are able to sell it to someone else because they don't see as much risk in it. Does that make sense? But if you've got a really huge idea that you don't have enough money to really put in a lot of perceived value, for example, a security system like the banks would use and so on, it takes a great deal of capital to be able to do that. And so at that point in time, it's better to license it and to sell it off as an idea as opposed to a finished product. Of course, the simpler the idea, the more likely you are able to actually make the product and profit yourself. When I do that, the methods that have been most useful are the ones that are direct selling opportunities. Internet,
television, things where you don't have to share the margin with a whole downline of distribution. But that means also that you have to physically finance all of those things. So you have to look at each idea and its product line and its family of idea and say, in this case, which is it better? Is it better to sell the idea? And so it's unique to the product, I would say.
People always see your idea as risk. And anytime you declare a new idea to someone, risk is always this high and the perceived value is this low. You agree with me? Yeah. When we do things to increase the perceived value, developing a prototype, having a test way of doing something, it increases the perceived value incrementally. However, what happens is, as people don't realize, is that for every perceived value that you increase, you decrease the risk by the same amount. When I first made this ergonomic handle, I produced the tooling here in Canada. The tooling was $35,000, doing it on the cheap. If I did that same idea now in China, my tooling cost probably would not exceed $4,000, maybe $5,000. So at one point in time, I was making a product that happened to be a collapsing street hockey goal. It's a great idea, and I was already had Canadian Tire interested in the product, and I spoke with a Taiwanese businessman. He said, I can make that for you. He had the price waiting for me by the time I got home from Germany, which was a week. And it was just a fraction of the price that I got here in Canada to make it. And I went, why would I go to all that trouble to make it here when I can do it there?